Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's episode of the Nuvolar podcast. Today, we are going to talk about Nuvolar, about the services that we provide to our clients, some of the challenges, some of the exciting user stories we will be sharing with you that we have throughout the years.
Welcome to NuvoTalks, the podcast to power up your business with Salesforce.
Today, I'm joined by Marc and Marc-Anthony. Thank you very much for joining me today. Before we dive in, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Marc-Anthony Padula. I'm the Managing Director of Consulting at Nuvolar with over 15 years of experience in aviation and in Salesforce, and very happy to be here today. Thank you. Thank you, Andy, for the invite.
And I'm Marc. I'm the CEO and the owner of Nuvolar. My background is in computer engineering. I also did an MBA, and I've been running businesses for way too long that I want to express publicly to age myself. But yeah, more than 20 years running businesses, and I'm very happy to be here with you.
Thank you for joining me today. So let's start from the beginning. When Nuvolar started, what were the challenges, the problems that you were trying or the company was trying to solve?
So Nuvolar is turning 18 years old. In Spain, that is the age of becoming an adult. So we're becoming adults this year. Throughout all these years, the purpose has always been the same. We always wanted to help companies with a very honest approach and a quality-focused approach. So we didn't want to rush into problem solving without really considering the different aspects of the problems or the challenges that our customers had. And this is still the case today. In other words, me as an engineer, when I finished my studies, I didn't want to work in a company where quality was not valued. And this is the case in Nuvolar. We focus on quality. We let our engineers be comfortable with what they deliver. One of the worst things you can ask to an engineer is to build a patch or something that is not properly done. It generates something in their inner themselves, where they don't feel that they are contributing as they should. And this is actually the essence of Nuvolar, and it keeps being the essence today.
And what are the services Nuvolar is providing to its clients? We have two business units that we're going to be talking about today. Marc?
Yeah, sure. So I'll let Marc answer afterwards some of the services. But on the consulting side, it's primarily today Salesforce consulting and development services. I would say at its very core, right? But I think more and more what we like to think and what we're also kind of communicating today is we provide digital transformation, digital evolution services, advisory services to our clients to really help them kind of develop their technological ecosystem over the long term.
And just to complement this area on the engineering business side, business unit side, we develop custom applications for our customers in a variety of technologies. In the end, as Marc-Anthony was saying, we help companies go through the digital transformation process, and that in general, in any company, it touches different technology, different products. So we are there to help them navigate through the complexity of the digital transformation. And of course, we have all the profiles necessary to build a software solution for our customers. That means that this starts on the product conceptualization. So when a customer has an idea, they express it as the best they can, but we need to put it in other words or in other concepts so that this can be eventually delivered as a product. So we start this. We have the product teams that work on the product conceptualization. We have the UX UI team, which do user interface and user experience design, who make the visual aspect of what that solution will look like. And of course, eventually, when that needs to be transformed into an actual solution, we have the software developers in the different types, back-end, front-end, mobile, so in the different shapes and flavors and colors that are necessary to deliver that product, that idea into reality. And of course, equally important, our quality assurance team who make sure that whatever is built is rock solid.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, probably this year we're also starting to focus on data science, AI, right? So we're offering AI services, right? So like workshops on identifying use cases where AI can really provide a huge benefit, right, to our clients. And also DevOps.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it is very important to understand, because we were discussing before we started that AI is a buzz and everyone is a hot topic and everyone talks about AI all over the place. The reality is that there is no AI project if you don't actually treat the data. So typically there's always a data project behind before we start with AI, just to make sure that we sanitize the data, we have proper data as a foundation with which we then build the AI solution. So I think that's also very important. And of course, as Marc-Anthony was pointing out, all this happens with a proper infrastructure in place, and hence our DevSecOps team who make sure that not only the infrastructure is in place, but it's also secure with the highest standards. And in this regards, we are a certified ISO 27001 company and a SOC 2 certified company, which make sure that all our security standards are up to date.
And that involves as well our team being trained on AI as well, correct?
Absolutely. And on the, let's say, consulting side, Salesforce, I mean, every one of our individuals is certified in the Agentforce specialist certification. And I believe on the engineering side of things as well, there's quite a few certifications, right?
Correct. Likewise, and it is very important that all engineers and all consultants nowadays get up to speed with AI tools, and they know how to use them, how to leverage those tools to get the most out of for our customers.
And when you look at the consulting and the software development space, what does Nuvolar do differently? What makes us different in the market? Because everyone is trying to use AI these days.
Right. So I think here, what do we do different? And I don't think we have a monopoly on talent, right, or on tech services. But I think what the nice thing about Nuvolar, I think, and I kind of boil it down to kind of three key ingredients, right? And one is company culture, and I think a little bit like Marc was saying before, our focus on excellence, on quality, and as well, just I think our human approach to just how we work and how we provide our services, how we treat our clients, how we treat our employees, right? So a little bit our honesty, integrity, transparency, and I think that's something we, in addition to some other values, right, that we have defined, but I think those two kind of key values we really live by day to day. So I would kind of put company culture as kind of one of our kind of strengths in the market. Focusing on employees, so investment in employees and particularly in retaining the talent, and of course, making sure our employees are happy and well taken care of, right? Also helps to ensure very happy kind of clients long term, right? It ensures kind of continuity. Yeah. I won't get into the secret sauce, right? But and exactly what we do, but we put a lot of focus there. And I would say the third thing or third kind of key ingredient is our focus every day on how we can improve our operations, right? So I think we've always, I mean, since I started 15 years ago and worked hand in hand with Marc, right? We've become a very agile company, and I think that agility is also, in terms of our operations, improving our business processes, measuring ourselves, constantly trying to improve. Right now, and I think in the last probably 6 months, particularly with this AI buzz, learning all the different tools that are out there and trying to kind of apply that internally, improving how we work so that, again, we can provide even better benefits to our clients as well. So I would say those three kind of make us relatively unique, at least in the regions, I think, where we operate.
Yeah, and just to add up to what you're saying, focusing on this quality approach, I think this is very well perceived by our customers. And Marc-Anthony already mentioned, but I think it's also very relevant, honesty and integrity. And I think that many companies might say these things. In our case, we definitely live by it. And we like to take action. So when things are, life cycle of a project varies and things sometimes go well and sometimes something unexpected happens. We like to be very upfront with our clients and explain the reasons. If we were part of the situation, we take the blame and we assume the whatever it takes and we work to mitigate it in the future, but we don't hide ourselves. We don't finger point somewhere else if we have something to do there. So we are accountable, are honest, and we explain things as they are. And this is definitely something that our customers appreciate from us. We periodically have conversations with them that are difficult conversations, if you will, because we talked about the things that we could be doing different as an effort, a combined effort with our clients, because that's how we see. We see ourselves, not them and us. We see as part of them whenever we are working in a project, and this adds to maybe the other aspect, going to the point of having talented people on the team. One of the things that we look into people is the capacity to look beyond what's written, no? And what we like is people to, whenever they see things that could benefit our customers, bring it up with them proactively. They don't need to go through a difficult process of approval. If they have an idea that we think, they honestly think it can help our customers, we ask them to proactively approach them and say, we saw this, we think it could benefit you. Do you want to talk about it?
We're talking a lot about culture and company and people. What are the main characteristics that you're looking when you're hiring people? And what are the benefits that you give to people as well?
A few days ago, I was in an event in the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya. They were doing a debate competition. This is important because we are talking about a bunch of engineering students. Typically, engineering students are framed as people that are very good at math, but maybe are not very good at communicating. The fact that we find these sort of individuals that are able to not only make complex calculations or solve complex problems, but also be able to talk about them and explain them, this is very important. So being good at communicating what you do is something that it is very important as a skill set that we need. And that goes hand in hand with the fact that we need people that are very good at working with other people. Those other people might be teammates, but might be also the customers. So this is a very important skill set that we're looking. Critical thinking is another one. And this goes in line with what I was saying before. We do want people that challenge the things that have been said. And it is very important because sometimes a customer might not be very technical. They know what their business needs. No one knows the business better than them.
Yeah.
But maybe when they try to explain how they would like to tackle that from a technical perspective, they might not find the right words, or they might not be able to express them properly. They know what they want to take out of it, but maybe explaining it, that they don't find the words because maybe they don't know how technically that can be done. So we want people that is able to understand that, give form to those ideas, and provide constructive feedback or make interesting questions so that we can establish a conversation with our client instead of just letting the client drop us a bunch of requirements and no conversation. No, so I think that's a skill set that we definitely look into people.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned about benefits. I mean, I think we have a unique list of benefits. I won't go through them. Like I said, I think some of it is our kind of secret sauce, if you will. But in general, Nuvolar has always, I think, really taken care of its employees, right? And I think that's just ingrained in Marc, since the beginning, and it pays its dividends in time.
Good. Tell me about a client who comes to Nuvolar with a messy, very complex request. How do you handle it? How do you start a conversation?
Do you want to go first?
How do we start the conversation? I think this is something that has happened to us many times, on the consulting side, for various reasons, and particularly, I think what happens is maybe a client makes a big investment in, and we can say Salesforce, right? We have a lot of experience in implementing Salesforce. And many times, what has happened in the past is the client is on the verge of giving up on that investment, and basically they come to Nuvolar because they've heard about our reputation in the market, and this is their last ditch effort, to try and salvage that investment, or otherwise they're going back or kind of looking at other alternatives. So I think we've been through that several times, and I think how we deal with that is actually talking to our clients about similar messy situations that we've been in, right, and kind of telling them that we have we think we're able to help them, and I would say more often than not, if not every single time, really, we've turned the situation around for those clients in messy situations. And they've come out, let's say, on the positive side, and finally got a return on their let's say investment implementing Salesforce, and are starting to be in line with the vision that they had initially, right? So basically say that when clients come to us with messy, let's say, at least Salesforce implementation.
And just to add to that, I think it is also important we don't oversell expectations. We like to be very honest with the situation. So whenever they come and they say, I was expecting this to do this or that, and we need to say, well, with what you have, you can achieve this, but maybe this other thing that you had in mind is not going to be possible. It's not going to be possible with what you have today. We can draw a plan to make that happen. So I think that approach of not only listening what the pain points are and trying to solve them, but also providing an honest feedback on what can be achieved and why might they be failing in that situation. I think that's also very important.
And actually to complement that as well, why was it messy in the first place, right? And sometimes they've been promised too much, and or the expectations weren't met. And I think, like Marc said, honesty and transparency, which is again our approach to things. And we deliver typically what we promise, right? And it's very generally clear from the beginning, and we have open conversation, and not everything always happens according to plan, but we always have honest, open communication with our clients, right? To try and help them out of that tricky situation.
Which is important, yeah. Nuvolar works with very high complexity industries, no? We're talking about aviation, healthcare, pharma. Why these industries?
I think it just happened by chance, if you will. And it all boils down to the quality and the commitment of deliverables. When the first aviation project came in, it came in through word of mouth recommendation. because we worked in a very reliable way. We were very focused on quality, and our processes were the correct ones. No, so I think it's more a coincidence. But the important thing is that during many years, all our customers came from word of mouth recommendation, and that's already important because there is someone that is not within your environment that is telling someone else, go and work with these guys, they will help you out. No, and that's how we started in aviation. And again, why aviation? That's what the project that came, but our approach was the same approach that we do with all other projects. We analyze the project, we analyze the problem, we look what it is necessary for the project to be successful. We look for the right people for the project, and then we apply the processes and the way of working that we have to tackle it. If I believe that all projects, all industries, no matter how complex they are, from an engineering perspective, engineers, we like to break down the problems into smaller pieces that are easier to achieve, divide and conquer approach. That's something that we do well in Nuvolar. Our engineers are very good engineers. They are good at understanding the problems and challenges. And of course, these industries that you were mentioning, pharma, healthcare, aviation, these are industries that are heavily regulated. They have a lot of complexities in place. And our engineers are very good at breaking down those complexities and tackling them one by one. And I think it was not something pursued. It's something that just happened. And because we managed and did well, and customers were happy, they recommended to others. And then when other customers talk to someone in another industry, it happened the same. It happened in a natural way. It's not that we looked into going to complex industries, but we are good at breaking down complexities and going forward with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like Marc said, it kind of just happened, and over the years, because of the complex projects that we've been able to successfully deliver, it's really given us a lot of confidence to work in other industries. And sometimes, I mean, every industry has their challenges, right? But when we get a new challenge, I think we always go back to what we've been able to achieve and say like, hey, this is not too bad, right, compared to what we've done in the past. And when we explain to clients some of the complex things that we've done, right, in the history of Nuvolar, we've also had kind of our own product and did really complex interactive screens, with the product that we had. When we show that or have shown that to clients, I mean, they're just amazed, right? And I think that over the years has given us a lot of confidence to tackle other industries, tackle other challenges, and actually be successful in other industries. And so even though historically and today as well, we still focus a lot on aviation and healthcare, and we're a much more industry diverse organization in terms of kind of the number of projects and number of industries that we're providing services for, and I think that it's been a great journey so far, and we're looking over the years to kind of diversify more and more.
And just to add to this, because of all this process and all this journey, as Marc-Anthony was referring to, we are not afraid when a customer comes in for a specific industry that we don't have experience in, because we've done that over and over several times and successfully. So we believe the way we approach these projects don't refrain us to go to an industry where maybe we don't yet have the experience, but we know that if we get the chance, we'll easily get that project moving forward and get then more traction on that particular industry.
Which is a challenge in itself, no? Because a lot of times, even to get that referral, many times, let's say someone will ask us, well, how many times have you delivered a project in our industry? What is your experience in whatever it might be, right? Manufacturing or e-commerce, right? And maybe if we haven't tackled that industry yet, well, we don't have references there. But again, we've, like Marc said, we've gone into new industries, new challenges, successfully delivered, and we have the confidence to do it.
How about we talk a little bit about the product, that we have our own product, just in few sentences. What was the product about?
It was an aviation product. Yeah. So this was a client. Actually, it started off as a client, right? That had a product that we were developing for them for many years, and then eventually, I think they wanted out, and there was an opportunity for us to kind of take over the business, which we did, and we ran the business. How many years, Marc? 5 years. Kind of continued with the business, and then eventually also sold that I believe a year ago.
Yeah, well, and I let Marc-Anthony explain it, because he was almost the father of the creature of this project. But definitely, this one of the interesting parts of this product, this expertise we got in the industry, in aviation industry, is that our engineers got to do very complex stuff. This project in particular was built on top of Salesforce.
Okay.
I like to mention that in 2014, so 12 years ago, we solved a problem of working with Salesforce offline for our pilots. So these pilots that were using the solutions, they required to fly and in the cockpit access the documentation on the solution. And our engineers came up with a technical solution to work with Salesforce offline. Nowadays, it is still a challenge to work offline in Salesforce, but there is a path forward if any customer is interested or has a challenge in this scenario, because we made it happen 12 years ago.
And I actually remember, now that you mentioned that, when we put that solution together, that architecture, with Salesforce and Heroku, and I think it was iOS, right? We built an iOS app that connected to Heroku and then to Salesforce, and then we sent kind of the lead engineers on that project to Dreamforce, and then they ended up talking to some Salesforce engineers who I guess were either on the Heroku side or the Salesforce side, and they were like, "Wow, you guys did that!" And we were talking about that as a possibility, and it's amazing that what you guys have been able to do. And actually, I think probably for many years, the Salesforce app, I think, struggled when it came to offline capability, and what we were able to achieve with that architecture, I think was quite impressive, for 2014. And I think it just kind of shows the quality, of the engineers that we have at Nuvolar, right? And I think that engineering know-how still exists today, I think, and I think is applied in all of the projects that we work in.
And beyond the quality, which is there, also the willingness to tackle challenges, because this is not an easy problem to solve when someone comes in and you know that you are working on a platform that doesn't have that capability and you need to overcome that. Some engineers might not want to face this problem. Ours stepped in, brainstormed, discussed, and came up with an architecture who then was validated by the top architects on Salesforce at a Dreamforce event. So I think this talks highly about our team.
Challenges. So what do you do when a client walks through your door or calls you with a challenge? How do you start a conversation with a client? What are the first steps that you take?
Yeah, I mean, from bringing it like a very simplistic approach, I think first is understanding the challenge, understanding the current, let's say, situation, right? That they have. Like how are they tackling the problem today with their current, let's say, systems and the current people and processes, and then afterwards understanding a little bit their vision, where they want to go, what budget do they have, right? And that also then I think tailors a little bit, our recommendation, right? Because I think every company, depending on their size, what they want to achieve, the solution can look different, right? And so I would say that's probably what we look at.
There's
initially.
no one fit for all of them. Yeah.
No, and within the same industry, there are companies that do things slightly different. I am thinking, for instance, consumer good companies. No, there are consumer good companies that might go to the supermarket, no? And they might take orders from the responsible in the supermarket. But there are others that don't do this. They go to a supermarket, they only go and take a look at how their product is displayed, and they need different solutions. So one thing that is very important in that process that Marc-Anthony was explaining, we want to understand why do they need this? What's the ultimate goal? Why does the business need that solution in place? We need to understand what's the ultimate goal, what's the vision, as Marc-Anthony was pointing out, so that we can then deliver the proposals that we believe is going to help them achieve that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the advisory work that we're doing, right? Because I think it would be very easy that client comes with a challenge and says, I want this, make a proposal for it, right? And I think more and more what we try to do is to validate, right, a little bit that need, right, and understand it, right? Because maybe we could say, sure, we can do exactly what you're proposing, but have you thought about doing something like this? And I think more and more as time goes on, clients are expecting that, right, from a technological partner like Nuvolar. So anyway, maybe to answer your question another way, I think that probably that applies when a customer comes to us with a challenge. I think more and more what we're also trying to do is help clients or potential clients identify kind of the problems and or gaps that they have in their technological ecosystem, right? And then make them understand, right? Hey, because you are running things this way as opposed to running it another way with these systems, this has an impact on your business, and you're kind of missing out, and maybe you're spending more money than you should, or you're missing out on on growth, right? And I think that's very kind of powerful in terms of building trust, right, and confidence in ourselves as their technological partner.
So what are the mistakes that they do when they are trying to choose a new technology or they are trying to implement a new service? What have you seen through the 17 years?
Yeah. So in this regards, behind every project, sometimes there are expectations of interest from individuals, no, that sometimes go beyond what the company needs, no. And I'm thinking about scenarios that we found of a new hired responsible of this area that wants to push the company to use this product or this way of working because that's the way he or she used it before in her previous employment, for instance. No? Sometimes some of the mistakes that we find is that they try to mimic or replicate what was working on the previous experience without thinking if the differences of the current company might not be well suited for that way of working. So in many cases, people try to replicate processes that work somewhere else, or they try to replicate the previous process that they had in-house just with the new technology. One of the things we like to do, and I link this to what I was saying before, we need to understand why they want to do this, because
the big question, the why.
The why they want, what do they expect to achieve with either this tool or with this new system that they ask us to build. It is, if we understand the why, we can help them steer them in the right direction, and this why also we need to understand why from a business perspective. Does this make sense with the current setup? Are they missing something? They might want to push something forward, but they are missing vital components that are needed. So I think sometimes these are problems that we have faced. Unfortunately, if we are involved in the process, we typically detect them and raise the questions. And maybe by raising the questions, it means that we cannot discuss this for quite a few weeks because they need to work on the answers to those questions. But I think it's better that we start with the right foot on any project than rather rush it because there is a hard deadline or delivery or a push from management to have that move forward without really thinking the impact that will have in the organization.
I think I would say on the consulting side, maybe some of the mistakes. No, we're talking about mistakes clients make. No, I mean we've seen some mistakes where some clients decide to go ahead with doing the implementation of, let's say, a system like Salesforce themselves, right? Only to realize that they don't have the resources, they don't have the time, they don't have the know-how, right? And I think that's where it makes a lot of sense with these modern systems, whether it's Salesforce or another kind of big, let's say, ecosystem or platform that clients do go to a partner that has expertise, that has know-how, that has all the knowledge and experience of implementing these systems. Of course, there's clients of different sizes, and we see more so on the enterprise side a hybrid approach, right? Where they might come to us at Nuvolar and asking for help to kind of complement or augment their team, and that works generally really well too. And then we have smaller clients that don't have such a big IT team, and where we kind of run the whole implementation. But yeah, we've seen it a few times. Clients maybe trying to save a little bit of money, doing it only by themselves, trying to do too much, or maybe for the size of team that they have. Another mistake, right? And we kind of talked a little bit about this kind of repetitive, let's say, story of clients coming to us with implementations gone wrong, and I think that sometimes is because maybe the client is not doing their due diligence to vet the partner, maybe that has been either found or even pushed onto them by the OEM, right? And they kind of just accept that yes, they're the experts. They've told me they're the experts, and don't maybe see what other partners are on the market. And there are quite a number of partners. There are big global, big four consulting companies. There are boutique partners like ourselves, right? And I guess every company might find that there's one that kind of fits them best based on their size and their culture, right? But not necessarily accept maybe the first one that kind of is given to them, right? And taking it for granted, and then unfortunately realize that when things go bad, now they have to kind of do a second implementation and invest maybe twice as much money as they hoped for initially. So those are some of the mistakes that we see in the market.
And just to add on one of the mistakes, just to add clear examples, many companies that they are industrial companies, no, their business is not in IT, but they suddenly believe that they can, why can I not hire, a developer or a consultant or two of them and have them in-house do the work that I would hire a third party to do. One of the challenges that these companies face, and we've seen them knocking our doors several times, is that these developers that they might be able to hire, or these consultants, go to a company that is not a software development company, doesn't have the processes, doesn't have the way of working, is not able to potentially engage those individuals the right way as we can do on our company. No? So if they get tired and they want to change, suddenly if the whole company depends on those two individuals and one of them leaves or the two of them leave, and this typically happens as a trigger effect. If it's a department with two guys that have been developing everything and the more senior guy leaves, the other one leaves right away. So suddenly the company is in a predicament, is in a difficult situation. No one knows what these two guys were doing because, again, their processes are not the ones from an IT company. So this is something that we've seen over and over situations like this. Especially in let's say in mid-sized companies, not large organizations, they have larger teams and bigger structures. But in organizations where the IT department is almost insignificant compared to the whole size of the company, this is a risk that they have. We as their partner or technology partner, we make sure that our processes make sure that there is continuity on that particular project, even if the individuals eventually leave. Our processes make sure of that.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think as you were mentioning that, for a big one is documentation, right? I mean, we have it clear, right? When we do any project, when we do any implementation, right? Even if it's for a client that we're kind of maintaining and supporting, we document everything, and that's for continuity. And in addition to that is, we tackle projects as a team, right? So it's not just one or two individuals. There's a whole team behind. We transfer knowledge. We do the documentation in order to ensure we're able to provide a continuous service. And I think oftentimes, in some of the messy situations that come, is some part of that mess is no one knows what has been implemented, whether it was a pure CRM implementation or an integration between the CRM and their ERP. And sometimes companies run like 4 or 5 years without knowing and without touching anything because it works.
Yeah,
exactly. And then when they need to touch something,
right?
they are scared. They are scared. We need to make this change.
Yeah.
There's a legal change, and we need to apply it. But the team that did this project is not working with us anymore.
Exactly.
And they didn't document anything.
And that's when we step in, no?
Exactly.
That's when Nuvolar steps in.
Yeah, that's where we step in, and that's the part of the quality service that we provide.
What other CRMs does the consulting business unit works with?
Right. So we talked about Salesforce, and we've been working with Salesforce for over 15 years, and just this year, Nuvolar, we started a new partnership with Zoho. So that is let's say a new journey that we're beginning. We see Zoho as a big player in the market, particularly on the SMB side. So we're going to be investing on that, and of course continue to invest on our Salesforce practice as well, because we see that as well continuing to grow.
Can you share, each of you, for both the software and the consulting, a story maybe where we helped our clients, an interesting one with any industry, really?
Sure. I will. I mean, we've helped many clients across many industries. I think one of my favorite stories is probably in e-commerce, right?
Okay.
So we have an e-commerce company that sells clothing, particularly in Spain, to different organizations. They're one of these companies that kind of came to us with a messy situation, and they happened to have moved, I think, after many years of growing their business on HubSpot, decided to make a big investment and move to Salesforce. Sometimes we see it the other way around, right? Sometimes we see clients on Salesforce wanting to move to HubSpot, but in this particular case, it was from HubSpot to Salesforce. It's a great organization and also very, very tech savvy. Let's say executive and IT team, and they decided to kind of navigate their journey initially on their own, right? And I guess Salesforce was a major investment for them. And they thought, okay, well, perhaps we have a lot of knowledge in house. Let's try and implement this ourselves. And I think they hit a number of obstacles along the way, and they were about to leave, and kind of came to us, told us about their challenges, and we kind of came in and turned the whole situation around, where we stabilized the implementation for them. Help them understand as well what they bought from Salesforce, right? Like the licenses that they bought, there were certain limitations to those licenses. So made them understand, and we said, of course, you could upgrade. if you want, and it has this cost. And we had a number of discussions as well with the Salesforce team with them. But ultimately, we kind of turned it into a success, and then they started growing, right, and kind of discovering everything that's possible, right, in the ecosystem. So they decided, hey, let's implement the very powerful marketing cloud solution, which we implemented for them. And then they said, hey, this is really cool. Let's power that up as well with data cloud, right, to even boost our kind of segmentation with all the information related to our clients, also coming from kind of the e-commerce site. And so, long story short, it's been probably 2 years since we've been working with them, and it's one of my favorite stories, on how we turned them around from almost leaving Salesforce to being quite happy.
Yeah, just another example, and I think is more or less similar to what I was referring before. Is one of our customers, they had an application, a mobile application in the App Store that had very poor valuation. The customers were not happy with it, and they wanted to build a new application. But again, the team that built the previous application, the one that had poor reviews, was not there anymore. So the challenge was to reverse engineer to understand what the application was doing and build a new application using proper process, using our product and UX UI team from the very beginning. So laying out what the new application could look like, because we want to make sure that 1-star review that they had today turned into a 5-star review when we launch a new application.
Did it turn into a 5-star?
It's coming out this year. So but definitely let's say the feedback is very positive on with the beta testers, and I think that it is the challenge. I have to say though that we always partner with the client. So in this particular case, we make a big team, a strong efforts on both sides. We directed the efforts. We are the sole mobile development team. However, we work hand in hand with them so that they provide what it is necessary for the mobile application to work. And that is a conversation, a very constructive collaboration environment that we built with them, because this only makes sense if it's a combined effort, and the customer needs to also see that we are not just building something. We are building something that it's going to be useful for them. They need to be in the process as well, even if it's just to provide feedback. But that I think it's a good example of another situation that started messy, but we turned it into something that makes sense.
So everything we heard about Nuvolar is helping clients, making sure that we understand them, we collaborate with them. What do we do with our people? What benefits do we give to our people at Nuvolar?
We have a bunch. But first of all, we all boils down to having a great team. We wouldn't be able to achieve what we achieve today if we don't have a great team. And we want a team to be engaged and challenged. The challenges, we get them from the project. So that's, if you will, taken. In order to have them engaged and happy, we have a set of benefits. Definitely, for instance, one that it's clear people enjoy is when it's your birthday, you have a day off. And that's one. Maybe one of the most popular ones that we have done in the past few years is what we call freedom. Freedom, that means Friday and freedom. So it's basically we provide every other Friday off, and we compensate that. The team works very thoroughly during those weeks to compensate. There is always the team rotates, so there's always someone there for our customers. I think the success of this project is that we run it for a year without saying anything, and no one noticed anything in our service. That was, let's say, our beta testing of the project, and that was a successful one. And one that we added a couple of years ago is what we call the seniority program. The seniority program aims to make sure that our senior members in the company get recognized, no? And well, maybe Empat, you can mention some of the benefits from the seniority program
as the most senior employee of the company. Yeah, some of the benefits. I think probably the coolest ones after 5 years and after 10 years, there's a trip that kind of Nuvolar pays for you and a person of your choice, and so you're able to kind of book it, and then enjoy it, right? And that's a perk I will be enjoying, I think, relatively soon. So looking forward to that one. Also, I mean, the seniority program that's been put together in addition to the trips, it's sort of like a progressive like ladder, right? So after I don't know if the first milestone is 3 years, right? Where then you get let's say restaurant vouchers, and then there's, I think, at 5 years like a smaller trip. I don't know where the next milestone is, if it's 7 or 8.
So basically, you also get additional days off every year. Up to limit for the more senior people, but yeah, it also adds economic bonuses every 3 years, so that you basically start getting some of these perks through the years, and some of our colleagues have been able to enjoy them with family, with the partner, with friends, no? And so it has an impact beyond, if you will, the individual, which is something that we are very happy about. And don't forget that we also have the CSR program, no, in place. We everyone, I think that's also very important. It is very aligned with the company values, and everyone can devote time to their social NGO of their preference, and they can we devote time. We do many activities with them, and I think those are very important.
And the weekend away.
And the weekend out, yeah. Well, we have 2 company events every year. One, we call it the summer party, typically in June or July, right? Where we fly in everyone, or particularly if they're in Spain, we taking the train to be sustainable as well. Where we have kind of an evening together, and then we have the weekend out as well once a year. Typically, I think either by the seaside or in the mountains, where we have team building activities, lunches and dinners together. Everyone gets to meet each other, right? Because we're, Nuvolar, since the pandemic, the year 2020, we're 100% remote company. But of course, we do try and promote, at least in the big hubs where we have offices, people to go to the office. But if not, because people might not live in one of the big hubs, then at least they have the summer party every year, or the weekend out, where they have an opportunity of meeting the colleagues that they work with.
Thank you very much.